We'll go ahead and get started. Dario, I know it was crazy yesterday in qualifying, but man, you made up some positions today.
Yeah, I was a little upset. That's 2 races in a row I've been a little upset after qualifying, but for very different reasons. I felt that the Suave car was good all week. Well, not all weekend, but certainly for qualifying we made a lot of changes. And the fact that the car was able to run the lap times, as sick as I was feeling, I was quite surprised because up until the race, really, I've been behind the car all weekend, just been sick and with the flu and all that sort of stuff. So the fact that the lap time was there made it all the more frustrating. But anyway, yeah, we started, made some passes at the start today. Thank you. Made some passes at the start and got into that group. It was obviously saving a lot of fuel. And the group kept going slower and slower, and the leaders were getting further and further away, so we had to go off strategy a bit. Just before I did that, Seb had I think he had some problem with the engine, and out of the last corner, he basically stopped in the middle of the straight when I was right on his gearbox, and I broke my my front wing. No, nothing he did on purpose. He was obviously having issues. That made it a bit more difficult with the understeer in the car. But then got back out, started pushing. I think we were up to 6th, 7th or something. And then the Reds came out. That was obviously a long delay, and I've got to take my hat off to Bud Denker and the Penske organization for fixing the track. You know, it was done like that. That was an amazing turnaround, and it was absolutely the right decision by race control to red flag it, because unfortunately those strips were rolling up and they were actually thicker than the ride height of the car, so when you hit one you lost the steering or the rear end of the car, as we saw. But the track was definitely in a safe condition for those last 15 laps, so that was good. Glad we could put on a show for the fans, and also for TV, a big race on ABC. Those last restarts, sorry, I'm sorting my tea out here. Those last restarts, I was able to get good runs off the restart and pass people around the outside. I think I got two in the first and 2 in the second restart. And then I tried to get Dixie, but he was just, he's been a different class all weekend. And he's a wily old fox there and made some great moves. And those last however many laps, 6, 8 laps behind him, it's about the hardest I've ever seen somebody drive a car. Over the crest in 2, I could see about that much air underneath his inside front tire. There were sparks flying off the bottom of it. He was crossed up everywhere. It was a pretty impressive performance, and I felt I had something for him for the first 2 or 3 laps. Or let me rephrase that, I didn't have something for him. I felt I could stay with him for those 2 or 3 laps, and then the car started to understeer more. But definitely his day, his weekend, he deserves this. What a terrific job he's done. And a 1, 2, 3 for Honda. Pretty happy.
Thanks, Dario. We've also been joined by Simon Pagenaud of Schmidt Hamilton Motorsports, who finished 3rd today. This is Simon's 2nd podium finish of the season. He also finished on the podium with a 2nd place finish at Long Beach earlier this year. Also of note, Simon finished 3rd here a few years ago at Belle Isle in the American Le Mans Series. So another 3rd place in a different series. But Simon, just walk us through today's race.
Well, it was a tremendous race. We had a really good car. We struggled a little bit at the end of the first stint, even though we could do a great fuel mileage. We struggled with a right front tire, how can I say, blistering. So it was difficult, but we made it to lap 29, so the tire was our limitation to pit. But then we went back out on blacks and still saving heaps of fuel. We were coming back on wheel, which was kind of enjoying. And then it became red flag. So, I thought I had a good race car, a very good race car. So I thought I had a little bit of something for Will. Scott was definitely super quick, but I think I could have stayed with him, maybe. But it was a little bit disappointed it went red, but they had to fix the track. Really quick fix, actually, really impressive job from the organization. When we went back out, it was even better than before. So, great job to them. The second race was was exciting because we had a lot of restarts, and watching Scott was actually quite entertaining. Really thought he gave me first place at some point, but he didn't. And you know, it was difficult on black tires, but we managed to finish 1, 2, 3 for Honda, which is a great achievement for the guys. You know, they work 24/7. Guys in California are working on developing the engine and helping us with the response we needed, which we have now. And it's just very enjoyable to be part of such an organization, and finishing third with those two guys is great today. So really happy.
Thanks, Simon. We've also been joined by our race winner, Scott Dixon at Target Ship Ganassi Racing. This is the first win of the 2012 season for Scott and his first career win at Belle Isle. His previous best finish at the track here was 5th in 2008. This is the 28th career IndyCar win for Scott, which means you just passed Johnny Rutherford on the all-time win list. Also, in addition to the bonus point for the pole position at this race, Scott also clinched the 2 bonus points for lap sled, so obviously a valuable points day. Scott, you had a lot of second place finishers this year. Talk about finally getting the first win.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I think we had 3 second place finishers and then 2 almost DNFs. So it's a nice way to come back. More importantly, I think for Team Target, first time back-to-back 1-2 finishes is pretty special. And Dario, man, I really don't know where you came from, because on the second to last restart they're like, okay, Dario won back. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I was kind of worried because I knew he was on reds, and the blacks were really hard to get going, especially in the cooler conditions, and after we had a bit of that rain in 5 through 8 section, I was slipping and sliding, and I definitely thought I'd spun. I think I actually took my hands off the wheel on the one time in 7, and luckily it didn't spin out. So it was a fun day, pretty crazy. It's not every time you go out you do half the race. I went back to the truck, watched the ABC telecast from the truck, had some frosted flakes, and then came back out and did a 15-lap dash. So it was, if I could have got my gloves off, I probably would have chewed all my nails, the ones that I have left. So it was a fun day, and just really glad that we finished where we did, and a clean sweep is always nice.
Thanks. We'll go ahead and open it for questions. Just a reminder, please wait until you have the microphone before asking. Bruce?
2 questions. One for Dario. Everybody yesterday said you can't pass on this track. Well, you must have done something because you came from 14th, 15th. How difficult was that? And then I have a follow-up after that.
Yeah, all my passing was really done. I think I passed 1 or 2 on track, but most of it was done on the start and restarts, and I think I passed 2 in the pits.
And for you and Dixie, in the championship race, how important is it to keep willpower, off the podium? Because you guys are both going to gain some points on it.
I'm just doing my best right now. With yesterday, with the start to the season we've had, I'm just doing my best. I'm just getting every place I can.
There's no doubt that the last 2 weekends have been a big jump for us, obviously in the championship, and I think team morale and everything. So, as Dario said, we go into every weekend the same. We're trying our best. We're trying to achieve the maximum that we can. So we'll continue on, and hopefully we can, ride a bit of a wave, and Will's still got a fairly decent lead. I think 30 points or something over me, and Dario's really close too now. So 2nd and 4th in the championship for us. We're not out of reach. That's the main thing. We've still got a fighting chance, and I think between the Team Target and Honda, we're definitely going to be pushing as hard as we can.
Simon, this question's for you. For Honda to go 1, 2, 3 in Detroit in the Chevy Grand Prix with the GM headquarters in the background here, what kind of statement do you think that makes about Honda racing and how relevant it is?
Well, I think it's a testament to everybody that works at Honda Racing, and it's also, the first 3 races where all Chevy wins, and Honda stayed in the game. They started to work really hard, even though they were working hard before. But they found what we needed, us drivers, and I think we can attest here that we really enjoy driving the engine. The engine is behaving really nicely, and it's performing really well. So 1, 2, 3 is the best reward we could give them here, I think.
The race is shortened down to 15 laps after the red flag. How do you prepare the car for the sprint as opposed to a marathon in the second half of the race?
Oh, you were not allowed to touch them, really. They allowed us to change tyres because of running around under caution all those laps, but apart from that, there was no adjustments allowed. I mean, a lot of the cars had damage on them, and we had to just keep going. So no adjustments made. It was really just a different mindset, I think, from the drivers. there was no fuel saving. That didn't become an issue. We just were all just flat out there.
Other questions for our podium finishers? Larry, front row.
For each of you, just talk about how wild it was to have concrete and asphalt flying around, and whether you'd experienced anything like that.
I think that we may have seen it similar, well, not similar, but before, but very, on a small scale. It's nothing you can plan for. I feel bad for everybody that organised the event. They're doing their best, and they did a hell of a job, I think. And one, it's really important for us to be in Motor City in Detroit, with the competition back, and we have great fans here. It was a sold-out event today. We've got to focus on the positives. That's something that's just out of anybody's control, and I can guarantee it won't happen again next year. I think with the additions and the changes they're looking to do, for next year as well, are going to be pretty sweet too. So, big credit to everybody that organised the event. It's been great to be back here, and can't wait to come back again next year.
Gentlemen, Tommy Morris from Detroit City TV. You to elaborate a little bit more. Okay. With this week, again, with the rain conditions and the track conditions, how taxing physically...
Sorry.
Hang on. Can we finish these two? All three need to answer. I'm sorry.
Well, I agree with Scott, everything he said. I came here as early as 1997, and Belle, be nice. Belle was not in the shape it is now, and that's, I think, full credit to the city and Roger Penske and his whole organisation. They are pushing so hard. And I went to an event last January with Roger and Jackie Stewart and a bunch of the people in Detroit, and they are so positive. There's not many cities you come to that has that passion to kind of just reinvent itself, and it's definitely here. So that was a minor problem today. It was fixed very quickly, and yeah, it will not happen again. I can guarantee you that. The guys running it are just too smart and too organised, and we'll come back next year and go at it again.
Simon, if you can add to it.
Yep. Well, I think it's actually one for myself. I feel like it's one of the most enjoyable racetrack we have on the calendar. You really have to push yourself beyond your own limit, beyond the car's limit even, and you push, and you find more and more and more. So it's definitely why it's so enjoyable. So I have to say, I hope we come back for many, many years, because it's probably the most thrilling racetrack for us drivers. And we've got, again, like Scott said, the fans stayed until the end, which is pretty amazing. So we've got to thank them for that. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of an issue, but quick fix, and went back out racing, which I think is a great testament to the series and the organization for their job.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you all, first and foremost. And we know Scott had some frosted flakes in between the sessions there, but with the weather conditions really all week long, the track conditions, how taxing is it physically and mentally to have these breaks, stops, and starts, and preparation time? How do you handle that in these conditions?
I thought the break was great. I thought it was a nice chance to recharge my batteries. Like I said earlier, I've had the flu and pretty run down, so I've been behind all weekend, and this is a physical track. This track is the fastest our cars feel to me. Just things coming at you and how quickly you have to react, and it really is a thrill. So I was thinking about it there. The biggest compliment I can pay this guy next to me here is my old buddy Colin McRae knew how to drive a car sideways and on the limit, and he would have watched that today and give you a pat on the back, mate. That was so impressive. That's the biggest compliment I can pay you. He was the maddest guy behind the wheel I ever saw. Yep. So yeah, those brakes were nice, and I was happy for it. Just to kind of recharge the batteries and tough to get back focused though. To go racing again once you've been kind of out and about, and then it started to rain on this parade laps, and it was in my head. I was like, this is going to be really interesting. And off a turn 4, 5, 6, 7 was really slippery. So and this man was the first one to catch it every lap. So I was kind of watching to see if he made it through and at what speed, and then followed suit.
Any other questions for our podium finishers? Gentlemen, congratulations on a great race.